Inferno Reg writes,
Blah blah blah, Mr. Cannon. Blah blah, Sonic Frontiers.
oh, how's that you say? Sega finally took a beat to stop and ask, what do we do with Sonic? And the answer they received appears to be, make him a detailed sandbox adventure. Oh, just like any of them these days, like modern Zelda, for example? What a smashing good idea! How do they come up with this stuff? Absolute genius. 100% concentrated 24-karat industrial strength. Chocolate coated. Does the world really not have enough Sonic content in it right now? No. But let's bail on console Slumtown for now and sojourn to the PC city on a hill with Half-Life, mayor of the good place and highly praised first-person shooter puzzle series by Valve. Now, if you don't know Half-Life, or if it's just not your thing, well, that's okay. Because if you've only so much as dabbled on the internet, you'll most likely have been privy to some truly knee-slapping jokes about it. Oh, the hilarity! Yes, you see, for as great as anyone can claim this series to be, and oh boy, do they! It's apparently not finished after 24 years since its inception. Yep, the saga remains unended, with only half a dozen main installments. Will this thing ever conclude? Well, there's a nifty prequel thing for VR, which I hear is actually something of a soft reboot. So in general, the answer is probably not. And for now, at least, everything that was and could have been relative to the existing chronology is left dangling indefinitely. Oh no, what a tragedy! Right? Yeah, welcome to the wonderful world of my nuclear take that, save a few dubious loose ends, most of what this saga attempted, it achieved already. Didn't it? And that horrible state of affairs might shed a little light on how this series ran out of momentum. Don't believe me? Stick around. The evidences for my mind-blowing argument are clues to be found in the series' late game. Thus, clarity will require a recap, if you'll bear with me. The story commences with a research scientist beginning a day at his new job working for a not at all suspicious R&D facility with obvious military-industrial connections, probably awash with Pentagon dark money. Oh gee, I wonder what they're practicing in there. Right, so our pair of eyeballs and squeaky shoe sound effects belong to one Dr. Gordon Freeman, a poor hapless sod who is about to have the worst day at the office of all time. He doesn't know it yet, but he's just inadvertently doomed the entire planet to a war of the worlds. 2, in fact. First with the Lovecraftian nightmare dimension, and later with the gosh darn Borg. Now for the rest of us, resistance may indeed be futile, but not for Dr. Freeman, who is quite content to bomb and blight and shoot and smite his way through wave after wave of terrifying no-goodniks who've seen fit to crash our planetary party out of some weird-ass pocket dimension. If you've ever read Stephen King's The Mist, you get the gist. Or likewise, if you've ever watched the really rather excellent Frank Darabont film adaptation. That's a ripper. Haven't seen the Netflix series though, any good? Nevertheless, Half-Life, the game, is richly inspired by this story, which in itself left us with a whole mess of mysteries. How did all these boogans get here? Who's responsible for all this, and what are they doing to fix it? Well, said Valve, here's Gordon Freeperson to come and proffer us an answer or two. Which apparently involves whacking a bunch of stuff with a crowbar. For now, however, all Gordon really knows to do is to get out. Get out of there! Quick! They're gonna nuke the place! Run! Get to the chopper! And then blow up the chopper because it's dumb, it keeps shooting me. And then find another way out or something. And after several hours of awkwardly falling off ladders, Gordon eventually does. But not before being adjured by his scientific confreres to confront his problems head-on by personally traveling into the pocket dimension from which all the mischief stems and putting a permanent end to the source. Although far from a dapper Sean Connery type, we are instead accosted by a rather rude and ugly old blighter who insists on repeatedly chucking his balls at us until we just shoot him, or just shoot him to death. Put paid to you, sir. The probably not human and most sinister of all the sinister shadowy figures in charge of your former day job shows up and says,
Blah blah blah, Dr. Freeman. Blah blah blah.
He then offers you the Series 1 and only one example of real player choice, between a job working for him directly or dirty rotten death. Roll credits.
No regrets, Mr. Freeman.
I should mention, if it's not clear, that all of that, well, it gives me a headache if I'm honest, but it's fun. Frustrating, but fun. A good first-person shooting game, I think. Just setting the story aside, the gameplay at least pulls every trick in the book to keep one engaged at all times. Occasionally even when you don't want to be. Oh, just get off! Ugh. I'm obviously not some fancy-pants big-time gamer bro, but I liked it.
And as for everyone else's intelligent opinions...
Well, at this point, if I have to tell you what a Titanic smash this game made back in its day, well then, I can't help you. Why are you watching this? Ah, you big silly. What am I gonna do with you? Here's a picture of a handsome cat. Isn't he gorgeous? Now, some years later came time for a sequel, at the commencement of which we awakened to find our oily old friend wiggling his brand new high-definition eyebrows at us.
Blah, 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 Dr. Freeman. Blah, blah, blah.
He says, and blah, 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 indeed. Turns out the big sparkly event from the first game was mistaken for an invitation by the transdimensional thought police here to wedge their way into our digs and do some planet-wide romper stomping. Oh, it's the worst! The air sucks, the water sucks, the city sucks, and the country. The oceans are sucked, dry, no one's allowed to procreate, and all your favorite shows are off the telly, replaced by a continuous loop of some dismissive Poindexter turncoat who seems to believe that all of this is good for us. Good for us? Look, I can't personally claim to not deserve a giant kick in the pants, but this is a bit much. They could at least leave the flippin' dolphins unmolested. Gosh! No, kids, it's all bad every hour, every angle, on every channel. And Gordon must make his way to the last of the human resistance, spearheaded by familiar faces from his old job. If you squint and tilt your head to the side, it makes a certain sort of sense that everyone you meet is connected to that facility, given that it was probably the first physical point of ingress for both invading forces, and all who worked there would be best in the know. Not Dennis Hopper here happens to be your old boss, in fact. Director Breen, a man who was apparently attempting to sew a silk purse out of this complete sow's ear of a situation, and may just be suffering history's worst case of cognitive dissonance as he offers human servitude to the invading forces in lieu of total planet-wide extermination. He's a tragic figure, really, but for now, ooh, we just hate him. Ooh, what a monster! Boo! Gordon ducks, dodges, whacks, blats, falls, and fanboats his way to the Resistance just in time to get wrecked by this ginger minx. Yep, turns out there's a traitor in the mix, and just as we've literally taken a load off with our new physics manipulation tool, she hands the Resistance buns over to those dastardly, planet-bashing baddies. This large and diverse collective of cybernetically enhanced creatures who call themselves the Universal Union. The Universal Union.
And only the Universal Union, that small minds call the Combine, can carry us there.
So of course the Union drops in to discuss its dues, and Gordon must abscond to develop his anti-grav pitching skills in Spookyville for a while. Oh, and hey, here's where we finally get the shotgun hammer. Hammer? Hey! Hey, Hammer! Hammer, we finally got the shotgun!
That's nice, child.
On the road, we learn that our old science chum and current worldwide human resistance leader, Dr. Eli Vance, was personally pinched back in that raid 2 paragraphs ago. Oh, so it's only up to Gordon to pull off a frickin' impossible mission. Planes, trains, automobiles, drains, cranes, and bridges. Beached boats, big bugs and bigger ones. Highways, byways, and the world's worst-tasting everlasting gobstopper all meet us along the way to make Gordon's life a right Chinese curse. He busts his way into the prison complex outside the city via the help of some new giant insect friends, and eventually rendezvous with Traitor Lady. And at last we locate Dr. Vance, with the completely trusting and unsuspecting help of his retiring daughter Alex.
Shut up!
Before attempting to Star Trek our way out of there. Beam us up, Scotty! Beam us up, Scotty! Unfortunately, Traitor Lady does her very favorite thing and steals herself away with the world's greatest dad. We attempt to follow, but are somehow waylaid and mysteriously propelled a week into the future. Okay, game, sure, whatever. But it turns out it's all okay, because in our absence, someone started a fire! Yes, it seems that all our recent shenanigans have managed to inspire a gosh darn genuine worldwide insurrection. The game is now a great big street-to-street war of the worlds, replete with alien dropships and tripods. Vive la révolution!
Dr. Freeman?
At this point, everywhere Gordon goes, he is cheerfully hailed as a shiny new Resistance hero, and instead of plowing on with a cadre of big bugs to take our orders, the game will now exhibit its impressive pathfinding as it applies to human models, when they're not totally blocking the road.
Let me get out of your way.
Yeah, you do that. Gordon joins forces with old friends and new to bash the fashion, flashy fashion, through a myriad of creative and action-packed set pieces and puzzles. Not including the tedious turrets, of course. But oh, it's a splendid little war! And you fight your way through till there's nothing left to do but frickin' finally level your righteous gaze upon the baddie's doom fortress. Kudos to the designers of this thing, by the way. This absolutely monstrous 8,000-foot-tall space scraper known as the Citadel, conceived to be the largest terrestrial construction ever to loom ominously over the whole adventure, portending horrors untold and threatening oppression constantly.
And I was sure that was the final level.
Quite right, Your Majesty, because now we get to kick its door in. Well, sneak past it anyway.
No sneakers.
And so you tear on in and start snooping around the joint. Time for some PhD payback, you bums! And this extremely scientific plan goes on far longer than it has any right to, up to the moment we lose all our guns. Every single one of them gets zatzed, save the physics manipulator, which instead pops right off, leaving you feeling quite blessed. And your enemy's feeling a little Thor! Ah! Boom boom! And now, we are truly free, man, to rise through level after level, cutting through swath upon swath of higher tier enemies with ease as an increasingly panicky Dr. Breen attempts to dissuade us over the PA. Good stuff! This satisfying turn of events transpires right up until the game gives the player no choice but to trap themselves in a small cage, which immediately transports Gordon to the boss's office, wholesale, bound and disarmed. This is such a bizarre thing to do that even the bad guy is moved to mention it.
If I'd known you were going to come straight up to my office, I wouldn't have bothered hunting you in the first place. Having both of you in my keeping ensures I can dictate the terms of any bargain I care to make with the Combine.
You called them the Combine.
Small minds.
Conveniently, though, Traitor Lady is also present to strut her stuff. Fortunately, Gordon's not on the receiving end of it this time, and we're all freed to dance a merry jig. Not Breen, though. He's out of there. Wussy! And retires to an insult-proof elevator, which very slowly ascends into a horizontally situated, downward-pointing portal 1,000,000 miles in the sky over a spiky building with no landing platform. We catch a glimpse of the baddies' homeworld through the portal as they drop some ships to shoot and kill us. We still don't have any guns, but luckily the enemies have got their explosive balls hanging out, and we can use our gravity mojigger to piff them at the bad guy and spoil his prospects. There's an explosion and the game ends. Hey, the game ends! What do you want from me? It's over! Alright. Time slows down, and our old friend Pennyloafers shows up to flash his McLeans at us once more. And you'll never guess what he says. He says, "Cut! Rule them credits, Johnny. Rule them good. Rule them good." And that's Half-Life 2! The launch of this game is what history buffs call a watershed moment. First-person shooting would never be the same again. Though it took forever and dipped its toe in the waters of development hell, it still somehow managed to ding the universe even more than its predecessor. Titles to this day bow to its physical, facially animated influence. But is it really all that in a bag of chips? Is it fun? Well, you tell me. It ain't expensive. And I do recommend you give it a try, because you see, the philosophy behind this thing seems to have been to give its developers free rein and all the resources necessary to create the very best game they possibly could, even if it meant breaking the bank. They went all in. They didn't have to, but they did, making this work of art their very own Final Fantasy. Props to everyone who gets that reference. Worth a look, I think. Hey, I liked it. And I'm not alone. Good job, Valve. Oh my, would you look at the time. Catch me next time where we'll finish the recap of the Series 2 episodic installments and hopefully get to the belly point. Maybe round things out with a nice motivation challenge or something. You kids still like them, yeah? See you then.